All right, MC, hit us with an intro.
It's the High Phrase Podcast. It's Elite, ALITE.
ACDJ coming at you live.
The world is about to burn.
You're blowing out a cigarette or
Dude.
cigar.
I am just extremely intrigued by this here. For those of you that can see it, and those of you that can't, it is the High Phrase official tool to light tobacco and marijuana products.
It's pretty intense, that thing. You know, when kids, make sure you have a parent around when you're going to light your doobies with that thing, because that thing there will take you down. Right? It'll take you down faster than an Anderson Silva leg kick circa 1998. Damn. Because that's when the leg kick was in full force. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. If you're listening to us here on Spotify, thank you to Spotify for taking us on. If you are watching us here on YouTube or any other kind of social media station, then you will see that we have the electoral map coming at you live right here on the screen from the iPad. Is that where we're at? The iPad?
iPod.
That's pretty dope. That's
yeah,
a good
man.
one.
The iPod. A couple of quick shout outs before we begin. Shout out to my homie Feng Fu for being the official cannabis supplier to the High Phrase Podcast. Danger Dave, a.k.a. Feng Fu, a.k.a. the cannabis concierge to High Phrase.
Thank you, sir.
Shout out to Monte Cristo for the Habanas as well. It's always some good shit. I'm a cigar guy. I've always been a cigar guy. These are great to smoke, so a couple of quick shout outs to get out of the way. But I'm a little sad, man.
You're never sad, dude.
Yeah,
Sad?
I'm a pretty upbeat guy, but Anderson Silva this weekend, man.
That was a pretty intense fight.
Yeah, I was sad. He's been my favorite fighter forever.
It's never easy saying goodbye to a legend.
The legend.
Dude, this is the part of sports that is the most intriguing part to me. Anybody can have an amazing debut. Mm-hmm. But it's the end of your career that really, truly matters the most. Yeah. Because you're only as good as your last fight. You're only remembered for your last fight.
That's so sad.
Right?
Yeah.
And you've seen it with so many guys. Look at Tyson. No, yeah, we go back on YouTube and we'll watch all of his knockouts once a year. I do it probably once a year. I sit down and watch the highlights of Mike Tyson knockouts.
Just for some motivation?
Nah, just because I'm like, I want to see some motherfuckers get knocked out, right?
How bad of a motherfucker.
Sure, I'll try a little puff, right? And then, you look at Anderson Silva.
Yeah.
And he's going to be remembered for this fight. Which sucked.
Yeah.
Even more than his losses.
Yeah, the thing is for me, like, the run that he had was so unprecedented. The title defenses were so phenomenal. And the thing is, like, winning is one thing. Mm-hmm. The way that he won, the devastating knockouts, the Matrix-like head movements, front kick to the face.
He was awesome.
The kind of legendary achievements that he put on in the octagon are the kind of things that you're going to talk about to sports fans forever. Everybody that's an MMA fan will remember when Anderson Silva head kicked Vitor Belfort with that
amazing
Karate Kid crane kick.
Unbelievable.
That nobody would have even attempted, right?
Dude, sick.
And then with Forrest Griffin, he's walking backwards, step back, knockout with the right hand. Just beautiful moments.
He's the reason I do front kicks in fighting.
It's amazing.
Yes, it's because of him, the spider.
It's just one of those things that, we'll never get another Anderson Silva again.
Yeah.
Again, I wish he didn't fight his last 6 fights.
It was a really sad affair.
Yeah. I think the rematch to Weidman where he broke his leg, that should have been over.
That should have been the end of your career.
Call the quits, walk
Get
away.
into acting, porn,
Maybe
whatever. Right? Whatever you do, don't go back fighting.
Yeah. It was nuts.
He finishes with a 34-11 record with 1 no contest. Mm-hmm. No draws.
Yeah. That no contest is to Nick Diaz, I guess.
Yeah, Diaz.
The one where he got caught with some peds.
Yeah. Horrible.
I never want to see a legend go out that way, especially with Khabib going out so flawless and GSP going out so flawless. There's examples that have done it beautifully.
Yeah.
But I hope he walks away from the cage and is satisfied with the accomplishments.
Yeah, when you think of MMA fighter, you think of Anderson Silva. Like, he really fits the definition of being a mixed martial artist. I think that he was the he was the level up athlete for UFC.
Yeah.
There was a lot of fantastic athletes, and I'm gonna actually go over the undefeateds after this with you, right? But besides being good at Muay Thai, he has several black belts. He has a black belt in judo.
Yep.
He's got a black belt in taekwondo and Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Crazy skill set.
He also holds a yellow rope in Brazilian, whatever, the dancing one.
Capoeira.
Yes. Sorry, Bam. My buddy Bamford, he's like, how did you not know capoeira? Yeah, he did.
Yeah, and he does some Wing Chun as well. You can obviously tell with the strikes. And the whole fight I'm watching, and I like Uriah Hall. He's kind of one of those guys I like too. I'm just hoping for that magic, You see him coming with the flurry, you're like, oh, he's got the movement. It looks good. And then he backs out. Yeah, it's almost like a piece of hesitation knowing that the chin is not as capable to take the hit as it used to be, so he's kind of a little bit tentative.
Yeah.
And then when you get to that stage, it's time to walk away.
Anderson Silva's only blemish in his career, in my opinion, was his time in Japan. When he went to Japan and he lost a lot.
To a heel hook.
Yeah. Remember that fight?
Yeah.
I don't remember who the hell it was to.
Yeah, it was one of those random weird jumping.
He lost a couple
submissions.
times in Japan.
Yeah, he lost a couple times. Yeah. And again, it was one of those times I think he was still figuring out what kind of fighter he was going to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, that jumping heel hook that he lost to was
damn, that would have hurt too,
spectacular technique.
Dude, that would have hurt like a motherfucker.
Holy And when you're a striker, you got to know when to walk away.
Oh,
right?
God.
If someone's got your heel, you got to tap the fuck out quick.
Yeah. What was it? The shoot team in Pride, right? Yeah. He was part of the shoot team. Did you know that Anderson Silva once worked in McDonald's while he was training to be an MMA fighter?
That's absurd.
In Brazil. So he worked at McDonald's. It's a true story. You can look this up. He used to work there, and he used to eat a Big Mac before every fight. That's no lie.
That's probably not a great idea.
Kids, whatever you do, don't do what Anderson Silva did, okay?
Well, it's weird because he never really had that prototype fighter body.
No.
The big bulging muscles.
No.
He didn't have. He looked like a regular guy that just stayed in
He was
shape.
like a Kobe Bryant of fighting.
Yeah.
Not really athletic, but ate junk food and shit all the time. And
Looked
just
like he stayed in shape.
It was phenomenal, right? And here's funny. I looked this up. He used to work at McDonald's, Brazil. But when he fought Chael Sonnen in that Chael Sonnen fight, he had a Whopper. He had Burger King on his drawers.
Yeah.
He got paid $500,000 to wear that logo.
Yeah, he got endorsed by Burger King before Reebok came in and ruined everything for the fighters.
Yeah. It was bound to happen. Anyways, you know what? Good things about about Anderson Silva. I mean, he was a real champ. Another good thing is he stood up for gay fighters in the UFC, which was the first time anybody had ever done that.
Yes.
No one had ever done that. And another thing, he was UFC's longest reigning champion and still holds the longest winning title defense streak in UFC history with 16 consecutive wins in 10 title defenses.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
16 straight wins. 10 title defenses.
Khabib was heading there.
A little perspective. Khabib defended the title 4 times, and he just got ranked the best pound-for-pound fighter on the planet.
Yeah.
So if Anderson defended 10 fucking times,
Yeah.
he is the god
He's amazing.
of champs.
If he was in his prime now, would he be just cleaning house?
Oh, for sure. I don't think there's a striker even now that has the ability.
Yeah.
I think Israel Adesanya is close. And you could see when Israel Adesanya and Anderson fought, it was a stalemate. They kind of just threw bricks at each other, caught each other now and then. But yeah, I mean, you put Anderson Silva's skill level in any era of MMA. And
Would he be undefeated?
Dominates. Nah, because you're going to get caught with a grinder.
It's funny because there's a lot of undefeateds right now in the UFC. A lot of 10-0s, a lot of, 8-0s, 10-0s, 12-0s. Shamil, right? He's undefeated.
No, but again, a lot of those records aren't records that could be held up to scrutiny because they weren't all against high-level competition. There were some regionals from some of these fighters. And not to say those fighters are bad. They're just not experienced professional MMA fighters.
Gotcha.
These are guys still working their day jobs and then fighting on the weekends.
Yeah.
Right? So
Undefeated
yeah, that's a part of it. So when you look at a career of undefeated, I honestly, Khabib's is brilliant. But I think John Jones has probably got the best. Fuck the one loss to Matt Hamill. That's not a loss.
Yeah.
The best undefeated
That's a
record.
heartbreaker.
Yeah, man. Because Anderson was, John Jones is taking out legends.
Yeah.
Rampage Jackson, Mauricio Shogun Hua. He's just back-to-back Lyoto Machida, just killing legends back-to-back as a young fighter.
He
It's
is.
insane.
Who Do you think this crossing over from UFC to boxing is going to become a thing in 2021?
Well, I know Connor's doing it again against Pacquiao.
Because they make so much money off these events.
Yeah.
Eh? Like you're not making the same amount of dough off UFC events like you used to, and boxing events like you used to, right? People are now finding streaming ways to cut out the pay-per-view.
Yeah. And I think it's unrealistic for an MMA fighter to think that they could transition that easily. Boxing is a totally different sport. It's all hands.
Yeah.
And anyone that boxes knows that if you're just able to use hands, boxer will fuck up anybody in combat sports.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's no contest. You could do Muay Thai all your life, but if you fight a boxer and you can't use your legs, you're fucked.
Yeah, you are.
Your striking is just not at that level, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think other fighters will do it for the paycheck, but they'll get made examples out of.
Who's the next one you think that's going to go?
Well, Connor will do it again,
Yeah.
but I think Francis Ngannou will be next.
Oh, you think so? A
Yeah,
battle
the
of heavyweights,
monster. Yeah, because he's not getting any fights in UFC.
He can't fight it. There's
Nobody
no one
wants
to fight him.
him. Who the fuck would want to fight him?
You ruin your coming up record, right?
Hardest puncher on the planet.
Yeah, that's a tough call, man.
Yeah, and he's not getting the title fight, which he
Yeah.
should have gotten already.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Deontay said that he wouldn't mind fighting Francis Ngannou, so.
That could be a mistake for Deontay.
Could be.
But that'll be a fast fight too, right? It's not going to be a 12-round drag-it-out
No.
fight. It's either, Francis is going to try and knock him out or he will get knocked out.
And I think Deontay's inexperience is compensated by his ridiculous power and athleticism.
So strong.
But Francis Ngannou's kind of got that same thing, the monstrous power with a little bit tighter technique.
Yeah. Yeah,
It'd be
yeah.
wild.
It would be wild fight, eh? But see, that's a blockbuster fight that if they put that on, people will go crazy for that.
For sure.
Hey?
Heavyweights?
Oh, man.
As appealing as Connor is, I think his stars take a bit of a hit when he, hit the old guy at the bar, cheat on his wife.
He's
all
next
this
level
stupid shit.
douchebag, right?
He is. He's next level talent too.
Yeah.
Right? He's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Love that guy as a fighter.
Speaking of next level douchebags, the race is really tight here between the Republicans and the Dems. It's 223 to 118. I wish we were live doing this. We should have been live doing this because we'd get way more action than NBC.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're getting a lot of action, but we'd be like, "Fuck these fucking guys!" Right? Like this.
Yeah.
Biden's gonna win this, eh? By the looks of it.
It's creeping. It's creeping. But this fucking orange bastard is gonna make sure that he says that it was a fraud and
You're gonna tie things up.
Well, I mean,
In the big battle states, like look at Georgia. Georgia's still going. Texas, Florida. Trump's got all those.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's got those ones. Pennsylvania, that's a really big fight right now, Pennsylvania.
you know what the crazy thing is? The lack of
Look at,
civility.
he just
man.
went up to 139.
Yeah.
He's
The
bound.
lack of civility is just blows my mind, man. Like, did you see Biden's bus get surrounded by Trump supporters?
Yeah.
The fuck is going on here?
This is America.
You tell me no Secret Service was around to draw weapons to intimidate these guys? One of these trucks rammed one of Biden's employees like off the road.
Oh, wow.
What the fuck is this?
What if that wasn't a Biden bus? What if that was just created for social media for people to go, yeah, that's right. Screw Biden and we're going to vote for Trump.
Definitely could be, because Trump at his rally the same night was praising those guys as patriots. As fucking patriots.
Weird.
You know what the thing is for me, okay? I don't give a fuck how good of a job Trump does. The craziest part is Trump is not the shittiest president in the past little while.
Oh, hell no.
George Bush Jr. by far is the
Unbelievable.
biggest calamity to ever happen to the United States.
George Bush Jr. is a straight up goof, right? Like, come on, man.
Cokehead idiot.
George Bush doesn't like black people. Kanye didn't just say that for, because he was upset. Like,
Facts.
Kanye speaks facts, man.
Facts.
We've been through this with Kanye.
Yeah,
already.
so the thing is for me, like, the difference now is the level of civil unrest amongst the populations. I don't think there's ever been this kind of racial inflammation instigated by a politician in the U.S. for a long fucking time.
Yeah.
I can't remember an American politician being racist in my lifetime, openly racist in my lifetime.
Racist? No.
Without being caught behind closed doors,
Probably going back to like the 60s.
Nixon?
It was probably Nixon.
Nixon was a piece of
Eisenhower
shit.
Type of shit.
Yeah, they're pieces of shit.
Trudeau.
But because of Trump's ability to express himself, I guess, in his own honesty, because he's being honest about how he's feeling, he is a racist. He acknowledges it. Other pieces of shits out there are motivated by his brashness
Yeah.
and follow his lead.
Yeah. And they're picking him up on the charts here, man. He's moving up.
Can you imagine if Trump's bus was surrounded by Biden supporters? They were all fucking yelling and screaming and losing their minds.
They would start saying it's an uprising because it would be all brothers in the thing, right? Chasing this thing down. Oh, the brothers are uprising. The blacks are coming. They've had enough. Like it would spin. You know what's fucked up about this election though? Like if you listen to the news and everything that's on, they're totally pro Biden. Like they're not an impartial. They're the news. They're not impartial. When they say like, oh, and here we are in Delaware, and you know, if Trump is leading, they say it's too close to call.
Yeah.
And but if it's in, you know, Arizona and Biden's leading, they say it's too close to call, but Biden's in the lead. Like they really push their narrative, man. And you know, me personally, yes, get Trump out of there. But at the same time, like, don't try to brainwash me and make me think a different way. Let me feel this. I feel this. I'm a human. I feel Trump is a piece of shit. Yeah. You don't have to lie and make up shit, right? Yeah. And that's why I always worry about when you see the Biden bus go or you see something happen. Like, is this real?
Yeah, so the news media has a part to play. And I think it does them a disservice because going forward, once this shitstorm passes, they're not going to be able to be looked at as credible. Because they've thrown in their ballots publicly with the opposition party. And again, I fucking hate Trump. This is not about Trump. This is about the authenticity and honesty of media. And they're not going to be able to be honest anymore. No. I mean, they haven't been for a while, but now they don't have a purpose. Yeah. They're not being accountable for the shit that they're doing because we know Trump's got to go. Yeah. It's obvious, but that's not the job of the news. Yeah. The job of the news is to prevent facts. And present information, and the public absorbs it and comes to their own conclusion.
It's horrible.
But media personalities have decided that I am the brand that you need to follow. My opinion is what matters. And if you are going to contribute to the society, Biden has to win.
Liberalists.
Fucking hate it.
Right? Yeah. And we're going to go over these terms. Like when it's really funny because these terms have become kind of mainstream for us now, eh? Like neoliberalism and capitalism and all these things, right? Yeah, and you know, a little bit later we're going to go over the isms for everyone and I'm going to test your ism.
Yes.
I'm going to test your ism, Ali.
You can only say that to people you like.
But because, you know, we're here on a political night, we're here watching the demise of America. The brainwashing. I thought, you know what, buddy, you came up with a really good topic to talk about this week about our own Canadian politics, which is something we never talk about.
It's kind of screwy.
Actually, nobody talks about Canadian politics, and it's really weird, that we live in a place where we don't talk about our own politics. We don't go on the TV and watch the numbers like this.
Never.
We did a podcast on election night. And we didn't even talk about it.
I think we've mentioned it in passing.
Yeah. We've mentioned Singh. That's the only guy we've ever talked about. Maybe we've made fun of Trudeau, kind of, and like then that should happen. Yeah. Right. I think even Trudeau makes fun of himself, and
he kind of has to.
Right.
He's got to play to it. Well, the thing is, like, we have this polite cover for Canadian politics. This veil of civil politeness that we have, but it's bullshit. Yeah. Dude, we have some of the most egregious crimes against civilians out of almost any country in the world.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
To this day, we violate Indigenous treaties. Constantly violate Indigenous treaties. Yeah. And it got to a point where I actually had to look up what the branches of government were for Canadian government because that's how little I paid attention.
Yeah. Well, they teach it to you in school 1 year. They tell you 1 year of social studies. Okay, so in Canada, hey, Americans, in Canada... You have maybe grade 8 when they really break down the legislature and stuff. Maybe it's like grade 8.
Kind of where it starts.
Right? And you don't really touch on it ever again in high school. Yeah. Right? It's always the 1 year and that's it. And they don't talk about it. Never, ever in our school in Canada here have we ever heard about the way that our government took our country and how we have continued to treat people the same as we treated them, 130 years ago. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's really, speaking of brainwashing, it's really brainwashing that we're subjected to as kids. Yeah. And it's really unfair, man, because our political system is really interesting.
Yeah, I would say I know more about world conflict
Yeah.
than I do about the formation
Isn't
of
that
Canada.
weird?
Yeah, it's fucked up.
It's weird.
And I think they've done us a disservice by passing it off as boring. Oh, it's
Yeah.
boring. Oh, politics is boring. Information is boring. It's boring. They want you to be bored of it so you don't pay attention to what's really happening.
Yeah.
And what's really happening is a fucking travesty, man.
It's bad.
Without looking at anything in front of you, would you be able to quote the three branches of the government?
Okay. So there's the legislative.
Okay.
Wait, there's the executive branch. Okay. So first there's the executive branch, which is you know who sitting up there in his shiny office with his mask and his skinny tie and doing hand pads on his brakes.
And his
Right?
perfectly coiffed hair. of
Yeah,
course.
and well, I. Hey, Justin, do you like this San Pellegrino drink? Well, you know, it's a really great drink. It's all Canadians deserve to have a drink like this because we are all Canadians and we all need to enjoy a moment of San Pellegrino. Like,
my
fake.
God.
He's fake and phony.
It's so fucking fake.
All right, that's the executive branch. Our leader is a muppet.
Yeah.
And then there is the judicial branch, which I have made love to so many times. The judicial branch has made sweet, passionate love to my ass many
In
times
the
in my
ass.
life. Right? And then there's the legislative branch that just determines how hard the judicial branch will fuck me. Is really what it is, right? So there's the three branches there. And, you know, dude, they're just all inept. All three are inept in our
Yeah.
country.
Okay, and then I also learned in my limited research of Canadian government that we have a governor general
Yes.
who is the emissary between Canada and the Queen.
Imperialists,
What the fuck does that even mean?
dude.
The Queen is in England.
Yes, she is.
We are on the
Shout out.
opposite side of the planet,
It's horrible.
yet this bitch needs to be kept in the know by a governor general that has to provide the Queen with information
It's a cushiest job in the government, too.
and well paid.
It's one of the highest paid positions,
Yeah.
and it's the cushiest.
And all they do is literally bring in the cabinet meetings
Yeah.
and then close off the cabinet
Dude.
meetings.
Dude, I could so do that job. But I would be like, I'd be doing it with style. They'd be like, man, you're repping the Queen like a motherfucker. Yeah. Right?
Box beforehand.
Dude, it's such a scam. You know, the Queen is such a hustle. It's such a hustle. It's probably, in my lifetime, there's been no bigger scammer and hustler than the royal family, dude.
Fucking right.
They're on our money, right? Ever since you're a little baby or whatever, you're a kid and you understand money, you have seen the Queen on there.
Yep.
So automatically in your head, the Queen is God.
You associate with her with the most powerful tool in your pocket.
She comes to Victoria. She used to come to Victoria, you know, once every, whatever, 3 years or so. And she'd come to Victoria because Victoria, British Columbia, looks like Little England. You know, it's got the Parliament buildings and it's got the double-decker buses. And
Yeah.
the royal family really loved to go there. Prince Harry was thinking about moving there and shit, right? You know, they all like to come there because when they come there, all the bootlickers, all the crown polishers come out. And dude, I have literally been down there when I was a kid with my mom. And we went down there and the Queen was coming. I couldn't see shit. I was small, right? And no one would let me through. But I literally would see people breaking down like they just seen Michael Jackson or Louis Farrakhan or some shit. And they'd be like, convulsing, you know? And the Queen just does this. That's all. She's like the Pope. They all have their thing. The Pope, the Queen, right? They all have their fucking fake ass wave.
Yeah.
And people just they just go crazy, dude.
Isn't it shocking to celebrate a fucking war criminal?
Yeah.
Because she is a war criminal.
Racist.
And it's just profited off of the theft of resources from every colonized country in the world.
Elitist to the max.
And we sit here and fucking worship her. And Canadians' government bows down to her.
Yeah.
I thought we were a free country.
We are a free country, dude. And, you know, the thing is that freedom comes with a price. Always. Right? One thing I've learned in my life is that, you know, that any sort of freedom that you're given can easily be taken away from you.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that you're always having to pay for them not taking it away from
Yeah.
you. So even when you think you're free, like I saw a thing on YouTube, a guy who's lived in the bush for 14 years and hasn't made a cent or spent a cent for 14 years.
Jeez.
Survived off the earth for 14 years. And I'm like, that dude is free.
That's
right?
the most valuable skill on the planet.
Except then the YouTube thing came in and said, we want to do a video with you and we want to pay you some money. And he's like, damn, man, I haven't made some money in a long time. He jumped right on it. And I'm like, dude, your record's over. You sold out your streak for a YouTube video. Like, who are you, Mike Olton? It's like, what the hell?
Well, the thing is, I'm sure there's other dudes like this.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's other survivalists that live off the land and do this and just prepare for the worst and are always prepared for the worst.
But he sold out his freedom.
Yeah, man.
It's
That must have
over.
been a nice check.
Right? Yeah, it was a nice check. And so, you think about this, like, the Queen rolls into our country. We don't know her. We don't owe her anything.
Nothing.
You know what I mean? I don't even know why we respect her so much. It's some old antiquated law that still kicks Indians in the nuts, right? And doesn't allow real people to take over and run the shit.
for real.
Because if real people with real conscious thinking and real minds took over our country, we would kick the Queen to the curb.
Yeah, the fact that Indigenous people still have to face that fucking cunt every single time she shows face in the country and have to act like they're okay with it. Indigenous people have taken the biggest foot
Sad.
to their fucking entire existence out of anybody anywhere in North America. And they don't retaliate. They don't retaliate with revenge or violence or chaos or destruction. They've literally been subjugated and marginalized to this day
Yeah.
in a country that claims to love all of its citizens, and they can't even get clean fucking drinking water.
It's pretty sad.
It's outrageous.
And the worst part is, it's like, it's like if you were a kid and you caught your dad, messing around with the neighbor and your mom didn't know and your dad saw you and was like, hey, that didn't happen to me, by the way. But hey, kid, shut up. Here's $20.
You didn't see anything. Shut the fuck up.
Here's $20. Just you didn't see anything, right? Okay, Dad. Oh, $20. It's exactly what they did
Yeah,
to the Indian people in our country, man.
it's fucking horrible.
They pieced them off
Yeah.
billions. He said, okay, here you go. Sorry for all that. Here's billions. No, sorry. Like Trudeau stepped up and did a fake ass apology.
Yeah.
Which was nice.
It was an attempt.
Right?
Yeah.
But you know that you can't apologize for that.
Yeah.
It's years way too late. His father should have been on top of that if you really want to stick with Trudeau. His father should have been on top of that more.
Yeah.
And they weren't.
No.
And, what can you do, man?
Well, I mean,
What
the
can
thing
you
is, like, before the U.S. was even established, there was this 7-year war, which is basically it's like 1756 to like 1763, and all of the colonizing powers, France, the U.K., Germany, Austria, were all fighting for the resources of North America before North America was established. And they used the indigenous populations on both sides of the war and then fucked them afterwards.
Yeah.
It's incredible to me. The UK, whatever the fuck it was called back then, the British were basically brokering deals with the indigenous people to set them up for slaughter and then take everything.
Yeah.
And then the American Revolution happened, and the Americans decided to fight the British and establish their fucking independence or whatever else you want to call America now. But the colonizing powers have been doing this for hundreds of years.
Colonialism.
Hundreds of years, man. And there's no reproach. There's no I mean, unless you do a wholesale evacuation of the government and rebuild from scratch, there's no going back.
Well, I don't know why they don't have more indigenous leaders in the government. Like here we are, no offense to Mr. Singh, but here we are, like maybe Mr. Singh, maybe he could be a leader, maybe he couldn't. There are Aboriginal leaders out there, dude, that would just slay it.
Oh, it's amazing.
They're so smart. They got a feel for the country.
Yeah.
They understand. They respect Mother Earth. They, they could teach us.
Yeah.
But white government, let's just call it what it is. White government doesn't want us to learn the truth. They don't want to have a mandate of we need to change our social studies in school and start really teaching kids what happened and where you come from.
Yeah.
Right. And instead of like hiding it and pretending it didn't happen, face up to it and deal with it. Teach our kids to face up to your mistakes. You know what I mean? And be a solid human being. Say sorry and do something about it.
There's a lot of value in that.
Dude, there's so much. We don't do that. We sweep everything under the rug.
Life lessons. And I know a couple of teachers, a couple of educators that make it a point to include this in their curriculums. And we've had these conversations, and they talk about the genocide of the indigenous populations. They talk about the colonizing powers that wiped out all their livestock and the resources that they would use to sustain themselves. I know educators that go against the curriculum and do this, but they're far and few, man. They're far and few. And I think with Jagmeet is, I think the reason why he's able to kind of capture the people's pulses because there's a lot of brown people here, man. There's a lot of brown people across the country.
Oh, yeah.
And they love seeing their own people on TV doing things.
Yeah.
So for them, it's like, fuck, not only is he educated, well-spoken, well-dressed, determined, charismatic, he's all these things, but he's Indian.
Yeah.
Proudly.
Dude, it would be so cool.
Rocks a turban, rocks a kirpan, full beard.
Kicks
He's
some ass.
proud of who he is.
Yeah.
And for a long time, Indian people didn't have someone that proclaimed their Indian heritage. Like Mo Sahoda is a brown guy. You would never know. Didn't even use his fucking real name, Mo.
Yeah.
You know, brown guy named Mo.
Yeah.
And then Ujjwal Dosanjh was kind of, sort of. But Ujjwal Dosanjh is like the Rudy Giuliani kind of brown guy.
Yeah.
He's a pure capitalist.
Yeah, he is big time. Is
Pure
he is he in the
capitalist.
weed business now?
I don't know what he is in.
Something like that. He's
But
like
even when he was
advocate.
in power, he's a capitalist, man.
Yeah.
And again, we're going to get into the isms, but there's nothing wrong with capitalism per se. It all comes down to how it's applied. And right now, the way it's being applied is capitalism at all costs.
Yeah, it is.
And the cost is our life.
Yeah, and the cost is our true freedom of just being able to be ourselves, right? Like, what really sucks is when kids start to think that making money is the most important thing that you have to do with your life.
Yeah.
And you see it a lot on the YouTube. Like, you know, it's good and bad about YouTube. You know, it's great that you have an opportunity. We can make money. We won't, but we could make money on YouTube, right?
One day.
One day, ageism. We've got a lot of isms here today, buddy. There's lots, right? It's good that happens, but it's also a false reality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's also telling kids that, hey, you could go out there, get 100 million, you can make, 100 million views and you're going to make all this money. And so these kids dive into doing this stupid shit to just try to make money, right? Like,
At all costs.
that's all these kids think about now, man, is making money. And what's worse is we've put in their head they can make money playing video games. You know what I mean? We can go on and on that. But this is our government at work, man. This is, not telling us the truth, always keeping the truth from us, right? And not doing the right thing and making excuses for it. And I'm telling you, man, dude, this Trudeau has made the most excuses, I think, of any prime minister.
Huge.
In your life, who is the worst prime minister, you think?
Ooh,
that we've had?
I'd have to go to Mulrooney.
You think so?
Brian
right?
Mulrooney, yeah. Just the economic chaos of going through NATO while he was in power, and he was kind of the counterpart to Reagan, and their policies combined really decimated manufacturing sectors across North America. So I think the fuckery that they perpetrated then is going to affect us for the next couple hundred years.
Yeah.
Because we'll never be able to turn back that kind of setup where people get paid well to build things. Where people get paid well to assemble things. Where people get paid well to work in warehouses.
Yeah.
Those kind of jobs are never going to come back. A warehouse worker is not going to make $25 an hour anymore.
Yeah.
A machinist, someone that just fucking operates machinery, just fucking, moves a lever all day, is not going to make that kind of money.
Yeah.
Those jobs are never going to come back because they've been outsourced and offshored to be meaningless.
Yeah.
So unless we innovate and build new industry that forces us to employ people that are skilled and actually make things, solar panels, wind turbines, whatever it is, unless we jump headfirst into those kind of industries, we're going to keep this fragmented society where people at the top make a shit ton of money and everybody else fights for the scraps.
Yeah.
Right?
And with the belief that, hey, you could get up here and make all this money. You just have to work harder and ignore your family, ignore all these things that matter truly in life, and you will be in the top 2% as well.
Yeah, and I got to say, part of it is parenting as well, the things that we pass on to our kids. I think we made it a point in our house, I have a 19 and 13-year-old, we made it a point in our house to say, it's not about what you make, it's about doing something that you love and being able to do it for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So I see it in my kids right now. They're obviously motivated to do well in life, but their sole purpose is not money.
What is it?
To be happy.
Just happiness, eh?
Just to be happy.
They just know that at that age, eh?
Well, I mean, we've ingrained it in them since they were little, right?
Mm-hmm.
Chase your dreams, but do it in a way that makes you happy. That makes you proud of yourself. That makes you look at yourself and be like, fuck yeah, I'm doing the right thing and I'm doing it the right way.
Is that a hard thing to get inside their heads?
So hard. So hard.
It is, eh?
Yeah, well, because society around them doesn't show them that that's acceptable, right? Their favorite celebrities don't pass on that information. Their favorite, YouTubers or whoever the fuck they watch.
Yeah.
They're not getting those details, that information, those life lessons. That's not a thing. It's not cool to talk about.
I kind of thought Trudeau would be that guy, eh?
I was hoping.
It felt like when he came in that, yeah, it's Trudeau, man. Like, he's going to do something. He's young, he's fresh. He's a teacher. He's an educator, right? Like, this is going to be great. And then, fuck, he's done nothing, man.
It's that Obama complex. The hope and change, nice guy, but didn't get shit done.
He's my choice for the worst prime minister for one reason, that, when Stephen Harper was here, and everyone used to hate Stephen Harper.
Fucking hate him still.
Right? Still hate him. Like, that guy
War
said,
criminal.
Yeah. He said some things and done some things that we would be ashamed of as Canadians, I think, if we really knew the true facts about everything. The F-35. Have you heard that one?
Yeah.
We're going to go over those ones.
It's out there.
F-35 contract. But, he at least, I will say one thing, he was an accountant, and he was able to get our deficit the lowest it was ever at, right? And when he handed off Canada to Trudeau, it was like the dad giving the keys to the kid. Here you go, kid. Here's the keys to the car. Go take your girl out. Make sure you're back by 12. Don't wreck shit, right? And then Trudeau was like, oh my God, Spain down the road,
Drive off a
friends
cliff.
in his backseat, smoking weed, hot box in the car. You know what I mean?
Don't condone hotboxing.
He fucking put our deficit through the roof. He didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah, and I mean, even when the economic collapse happened in 2008, 2009, big mortgage collapse crisis, Harper did a good job of making sure Canada was fiscally responsible and didn't dive in to too much chaos. But again, all these motherfuckers did the same thing. They bailed out the banks.
Yeah.
They put money on a platter and told the banks, do with it as you will. And the people went bankrupt. The people starved. The people became homeless. Harper wasn't fucking homeless.
Yeah.
Everybody else was.
Yeah.
They all bowed down to the same master, man.
Yeah, I guess so. Eh?
Yeah,
There's
they
no
do.
not one's better than the other,
Nah, they're pieces of shit.
right? So, all right. So, what I want to do is I want to go over a couple of these isms with you, and
We are infected with isms.
yeah, we'll go over these. You can see the
Getting
Biden.
close.
Biden has at 2:23 at this time, live right now at 9:48 on
Scary,
Tuesday.
man. It's scary.
We're gonna go to sleep with all this stuff still lingering. We're gonna wake up and Trump's gonna still be awake.
And the White House will be in shambles.
Yeah, what else
Dude, they're
do you-
boarding up cities in the U.S., man. For an election, they're boarding up cities.
They're boarding up all the high-end stores.
I got friends in New York and friends in L.A., and I'm watching their Instagram stories, and everything's boarded up.
Yeah.
They're expecting calamity.
They're expecting brothers to go crazy because they're expecting Trump to win.
Yeah, they're expecting all hell to break
Right?
loose.
You don't board up your windows if you think Biden's coming in to save the day.
Well, I think a part of it is also they're worried that these fucking Trump tards will start roaming the streets with guns
Yeah.
and just ready to pick people off.
Jesus, man.
Because that's what Trump said. He told his supporters.
Yeah. Proud Boys.
The Proud Boys, right? Stand back, stand by.
Is that like the
Fucking
Pride
clowns.
Boys dancing on a float on a parade? the Proud
Fucking
Boys.
cowards. That's what they call. That's what I call them. Cowards.
All right, so let's go over some isms, man. We're going to play a little game called Know Your Isms.
Nice.
All right, this is a little game that I'm going to put a read through because we like to play games here.
Yeah.
All right, and we're just going to bring some isms up and see what you know about it, and then we'll talk about it, all right? So here you go. Here's your first one. Probably one of your favorite words.
Ooh.
Oh, you know what, too? Oh, yeah, we're mirrored on there, so I'm going to have to spin. I always do this wrong.
Kind of backwards it.
Yeah, I got it backwards. I got to mirror it next time. All right, so we're at capitalism.
Yeah.
What can you say good about capitalism, and what can you say bad about capitalism? What's the good part of it?
Upwards mobility, but potential for upwards mobility. And what I mean when I say that is you create an economic system where everybody has an opportunity to be successful. The problem is the people that are creating the rules are stacking it in their favor so that only they can be successful and everybody else fights for crumbs. So it's a double-edged sword because it's lifted a lot of people out of poverty.
Yeah.
It's enabled a lot of small businesses. It's enabled a lot of open cash flow across borders. But again, the people that get the wealthiest, we've seen it over and over again, are the people at the very top. And they rig the system with this idea that you can have this trickle-down system of economics. Whereas if the people on top are making the most money, they're going to be benevolent. Of course they are.
Yeah, of course.
They're going to create jobs. They're just going to throw money out to people. Here, take some.
At
When
16%.
the fuck does this ever happen?
Yeah.
The way economies work, the people at the bottom spend money to get shit that they need. The people that have the shit that they need are the ones that are in control of the resources. So the poor people are working for rich people to buy shit that the rich people are selling them.
Yeah.
There's only one person that wins. It's the fucking rich people.
Always.
So I think you can have capitalism be a successful and functioning part of a government, but heavily regulated.
Yeah.
And man, conservatives do not like that word,
They do not like regulations.
but it has to be done.
It has to be out of fairness for everybody, right? Because there has to be a fair system in place. And everyone's like, well, fair is not fair. Capitalism is this. Money is money. But what's fair about, a kid that doesn't get up for work every day? Does he deserve to have what I have? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the common comment
with
a capitalist, is that the equation is work hard, make money, gain power. That's what it is, right?
Yeah.
The true definition of capitalism, an economic and political system in which a country's trade and industry are controlled by private owners for profit rather than by the state.
The problem is that the government is also invested in capitalism.
Yeah, they're the biggest ones.
Because they have lobbyists all fucking day, which persuade their interests.
Yeah.
And I get the idea of success at all costs. I get it. I grew up with people like this. I know people like this. The problem is not everyone in society is built like that.
Yeah.
Not everyone's environment that they grew up in allows that kind of steadfast dedication to achievements and success. Not everyone's built like that. People grew up in shitty homes. People grew up with shitty parents. People grew up in shitty educational systems. People were fucking raped and molested and abused growing up.
Yeah.
Their end goal is not to make money. Their end goal is to survive
It's to be alive, yeah.
and to have some peace of mind and some mental health
Yeah.
where they can actually live every day and not worry about the fucking bills.
Yeah.
So if we're going to have a system that allows and enables people to chase success, we also have to have a safety net for people that aren't built like that. Because not everyone's built like that.
That's another ism that we're going to catch up to.
Yeah.
The ism you're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah,
That's
definitely.
the most dreaded word in all of politics is that ism that you're talking about. We'll get
Yeah,
to
and
that.
for me personally, I want to be successful.
Yeah.
I want to do well. I want to pay my bills, but not at all costs. I'll gladly walk away from money. I have walked away from money many times if it compromises who I am as a person. So I know I'm not obsessed with this get money at all costs.
Yeah.
So there is a balance. I have a mortgage.
Yeah.
I have a job. I pay my bills. But again, I'm not chasing
Yeah.
without thought
Yeah.
because others don't have that fucking option.
Yeah, it's a really crappy thing that North America has become. It's become the land of capitalisms.
Milton Friedman.
When you can be a guy like Jeff Bezos and pay no taxes, you know what I mean? That sums it all up, people. Like, you don't think we're in a bad world or you think capitalism is a good thing, whatever you think. Trust me, man, Donald Trump, $750. Jeff Bezos, $0. Like that's capitalism, man.
And see, now
It's
here's the
sad.
thing, Kay. One thing we gotta address because I again, this is people are gonna hear this and be like, oh, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. We're not saying people like Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates. We're not saying they don't pay any tax at all.
Exactly.
That's not what we're saying.
Yeah.
We're saying if you make $60 billion,
With a B.
billion fucking dollars, and you pay less tax than someone that makes $150,000,
Yeah.
that's fucking wrong.
It is wrong.
That's garbage.
Yeah.
If you're making $60 billion, if I was a politician, 50% of your income's going to get taxed.
Yeah.
You still have $30 billion.
You still have $30 billion.
What the fuck you going to complain about?
Well, this is why I think we're going towards no money society, because government sees guys like Bezos and all these other guys, Murdoch, all these guys do it. It's just the more high profile you are, the more your taxes kind of go in the spotlight.
Yeah.
And I think they see this potential billions they're missing out on, and they're like, if we can change everyone over to paying credit card online to Amazon, we will now be able to tell how much money Jeff Bezos is truly making, and we'll be able to tax you. I just see this whole tax system changing, because, one of the isms coming up, which I think might be the next one, socialism, right? We're headed there. And just so people know, socialism technically is a political and economic theory of social organization which advocates that the means of production, distribution, and exchange should be owned or regulated by the community as a whole.
Now, people need to understand when they use this term, what it means. I'm so sick and tired of hearing people use this term, not knowing what the fuck it means, and using it as an insult. Oh, you socialist, you socialist. Let me clarify something.
Stop watching CNN.
Please. The biggest industries that exist in North America benefit from socialism.
Yeah.
Let me give you an example. The economy has collapsed. We've seen it in front of our own eyes. 2008, 2009 mortgage crisis, all hell broke loose, shit hit the fan, everything went to hell. A stimulus package is created, $700 billion.
With a B.
To bail out the banks.
With a big fat B.
Who bailed out the banks, you say? We bailed out the banks.
Me, taxpayer.
You know what that's called? Socialism, bitch.
It's big time.
The military that you claim to love so proudly,
Yeah.
standing for the national anthem, putting on your poppy for Remembrance Day, putting your hand on your chest. Oh, these soldiers fucking love them. Fuck. That is socialism. Do you know why? Because it's funded and paid for by the taxpayers,
Me.
which is you.
Right here, this
Which
guy.
means that the largest industries that contribute to North American GDP are socialist industries. When tech sectors get billion-dollar tax breaks, socialism. When Jeff Bezos gets $1 billion in tax breaks to build a warehouse in a city of his choice, and the government, the Congress and Senator, whoever it is, bows down and said, yes, please, bring your warehouse here so I can pay my citizens starvation wages, and I'll give you a $20 million tax break. Socialism. Mm-hmm. The medical care that you get
Free.
every fucking day as a result of taxpayer-funded healthcare is socialism.
Yeah.
So it's amazing to me that the only time we're okay with socialism is when the richest benefit from it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really, that is the term of this, it's going to be the term of this decade.
Yeah, for sure.
Of the 2020s. Socialism is on the screen now, but people are going to be fighting over this. There's too many progressives in the States that want this to happen.
We are a democratic socialist country.
Yeah.
We are.
And, the best part about socialism, which people need to understand is, yes, okay, there's free school for everybody. We all go in a group and we all pitch into the pool, and we give our kids free education. Let them catch up with the rest of the world. Mm-hmm. Instead of going into hundreds of thousands of dollars into debt after going to school to learn to become a freaking pediatrician or whatever, right? And then now you're paying off for 10 years, you're paying off your student. This is stupid, right? That's where I think people get it all twisted, right? They think that, the CERB situation, that if the CERB turns into a regular universal income, that's all people hear about. They only hear the conspiracy side of socialism, right? They don't really think that we're already balls deep in a socialist society.
We've been.
You were born into this
Straight up.
socialized society, right? It's just that there are extremists There are extreme liberals who want to use a European model. Let's just say it's a European model, dude. It works over there. It works in these Scandinavian countries.
Yeah.
It works in most of Europe.
Very well.
You know what I mean? And all these countries, man, they all pay, no one pays for anything.
Your mother being able to have you in a hospital and you going home without a medical bill is fucking socialism at its finest.
Yeah, and we're here.
So we need to address the word and also address how you use it. It's not an insult. You exist in it. It benefits everybody. And if we're going to have an equal and fair society, what the fuck is wrong with taking care of the people that have the least?
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't, man.
Why would we not want to take care of those with the least?
Yeah.
That's what I don't get.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, man. I think, we're in a really greedy society, and this is just how it goes. People get in their head. They watch so much YouTube and TV, and they hear all the, whoever screams the loudest on something, and they just take that negativity, right? Like, it's just a really awkward thing to try to explain to people the socialism and try to talk to them.
Yeah,
but
and I think it was Gandhi that said you can judge a society by how it treats its citizens that have the least.
yeah,
And if that's the case, then we're garbage.
yeah, we are garbage.
Yeah.
All right.
Ooh, I've been called this many times.
All right, so this could be a good thing or it can be a bad thing. It depends really on it. But the true definition of liberalism is a political and social philosophy that promotes individual rights, civil liberties, democracy, and free enterprise.
Now, you just saying that out loud. Tell me one thing that's wrong with that.
Oh, that's pretty... well, see, for me, I think, why are we promoting all this stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Why do we have to promote anything? Why does there have to be an ism for anything? Why can't it just be humanism and just fuck it? But this is still an agenda. Liberalism, as fluffy and nice as it sounds, is an agenda. Big time.
To create division.
Yeah.
I've been called a liberalist many times. If you follow my social media, I'm sure you have seen it. But the thing is, like, dividing ourselves into these titles is the biggest problem. I'm red, I'm blue, I'm Democrat, I'm conservative, I'm Republican, I'm liberal, I'm NDP, I'm this. You're not those things.
No.
You're not. You're a fucking person that subscribes to certain belief systems. And there are things in individual belief systems that you may like. You may like some shit that conservatives have to say. You just might. But you force these voices out. And you never hear the things you'll agree with.
Yeah.
Because you're so busy thinking, well, Andrew Scheer's a piece of shit. There's no way I can agree with anything he has to say.
Yeah.
But he's one person
Yeah.
out of hundreds of thousands of conservatives that you may even have in your family.
Yeah.
You don't have to agree with everything that they have to say. But we create such division with these fucking labels.
It's horrible, buddy. It's really horrible.
Got to jump off this label bandwagon. But yeah, liberalism. I guess Trudeau would be the epitome of what angry conservatives would call liberalism.
Yeah.
He's everything that a liberalist should and would be.
Yeah. He's the total prototypical liberalist. Oh, yeah.
Only in words,
Well,
not in his actions.
Well, and this is the thing, like, and what he stands for and what he says he stands for and how he got elected is pure liberalism, right? But truly how he is, he's a capitalist, man.
Straight up.
He's a straight up capitalist. He's a straight up, he loves business, but he loves taxing business too. He knows that the government is the mafia and is the biggest corporation around.
Motherfucker bought a pipeline.
You know what I mean? So he knows. Don't be fooled. He's not building that pipeline for anybody other than his legacy. Is the only reason why he wanted that pipeline
With
so bad.
your fucking money.
Right here, taxpayer.
Yup.
Right? Liberalists, we love you, but stop. Which is the other side of the rainbow. So there's the rainbow where the village is living, peacefully,
Like hobbits.
sharing the pot of gold. And then there's the other side of the rainbow.
Yeah.
Conservatism is the holding of political views that favor free enterprise, private ownership, and socially traditional ideas.
The socially traditional ideas is what's dangerous.
Yes.
Because religion is
Brainwashing.
is part of the backpack of conservatism.
Yeah.
And you cannot have religion in politics. I don't give a fuck where you're from
It's horrible.
or what you think. Religion and politics cannot coexist.
Fuck, and they so do, dude.
It's gross.
It is wrong.
It's
And
a
this is what
national
Mr.
anthem,
Singh is
man.
dealing with as well.
Yeah.
Right? You know he's dealing with this. The only reason why, he doesn't get more play. It's almost like they let Jasmeet in there. It's like, just let him in. But really, the Christians run everything right now.
Can you imagine if Jagmeet became prime minister
Oh, my God.
and started to implement a Sikh agenda?
Wow.
People would lose their fucking minds.
Lose their mind.
But white politicians introduce Christianity into politics every day.
And hardcore Christianity.
Every day.
Yeah.
And we are just okay with it.
Well, we just accept it because we're white,
It's expected.
right? We're Canadian.
That's
And
a problem.
We grew up with it.
In North America, it's expected to have Christianity be a part of your political establishment. But I'm not a Christian.
No, me
Dude,
neither.
atheists are the largest growing population in the world. We need an atheist politician.
I hate religion so much. I'm not even an atheist because it's fucking religion. I'm not. I don't even want to pretend there's no God. I'm just like, fuck it. I'm going to
Facts.
say the word.
Facts.
Why is conservatism so linked up with Christianity?
Yeah, that whole socially traditional value thing. I think a big part of it is the places and the people they represent are also very religious. And you cannot be a conservative and be respected without the Bible in your backpack.
So true, eh?
Yeah, I can't.
Like you never see liberals rolling out with the Bible or getting shots walking out. Like
They can't.
they just don't associate with
No.
it, eh? Isn't that weird?
Nobody would listen.
Wow, that's true. So the liberalists basically are for the people and for all people, right? But they're still for themselves. But
Yeah.
they're for other people, and they're inclusive.
Yeah.
Whereas conservatives are exclusive. You either Christian and you have strong stances against things, right? And you buy into our system,
Yeah.
right? And you're allowed to shoot people if they come on your property. You know what I mean? And you can open up a business, and you want to open up a store. You go ahead and do it. Like. So and you want to take over, go ahead. You want to have a monopoly. Like it's all these crazy things that go with conservative. And you know what, dude? It really sucks for me to say this. And I'm not a voter by any means, but I think after this Trudeau, we may need a little bit of conservatism in our country. It sucks to say this, but we may need some structure in our country. And I don't mean the religious part. I mean the part of encouraging people to get back to work, like not spending so much money, not spending, a lot of frivolous money on things that we just need a program. Maybe that's where the NDP comes in, dude. Maybe it's the NDP's turn. Like,
think
fuck
so.
the Tories, fuck the Liberals. Like, let NDP in and let them do something with the country.
I think so. I mean, there's a reason why John Horgan won a fucking majority in BC, right?
Yeah.
There's a reason why people are feeling these things.
Maybe, eh?
The scariest thing with conservatism is the limiting of ideas. That's what scares me. The limiting of outside ideas. Nope, it's unaccepted if it's not coming from that fucking magic book of unicorns. That's what it is, man.
Oh, my God. All right. Screw these guys. Here's one for you. We're on we're doing a little isms showdown. Libertarianism.
Not so much in Canada.
It's not a really big thing in Canada. It's
No.
chiefly in the United States. It's associated mainly with the political right. The definition of libertarianism is a political philosophy that advocates only minimal state intervention in the free market and the private lives of citizens.
Good and a bad. Obviously, you don't want government to be too big. But when you create a system like this, you also limit accountability. And when a continent like North America is run by corporations, if you limit accountability of corporations, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What happens?
Oh, if you limit the
regulation,
the regulation
of corporations.
Yeah, then they just take over. They
It's chaos.
kick everyone down.
It's chaos.
Libertarianism is basically, let's use drugs for example. So a libertarian is like, drugs are bad, right? Drugs are bad, but right? But you should be able to sell them, and they shouldn't be illegal. It's up to you not to get hooked on drugs.
Yes.
But, they're bad. But we should be able to sell them, and they should not be illegal, and you should be able to use them, right? But if you die, it's your own fault.
Yeah, and I'm a cynic with this shit. So when I see it, I just look at the worst possible scenarios of these isms. And the worst possible scenario for libertarianism is bad.
Yeah, it's bad.
Because there's no accountability.
No, push the blame.
Yeah, and with governments, limiting a government's ability to, I don't want to say force accountability, but address people to be accountable.
Yeah.
It's impossible to do when the government power is limited and corporations are running the whole show.
Yeah.
You create a slave state.
Oh, big time slave state.
And the owners are just like, well, we told you it could happen.
Yeah.
We said you could do it. Didn't mean you should do it. And then they take the cake.
Well, BC's kind of bad for this. We're libertarianism's kind of here. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, man. I mean,
BC and exclusively, because BC up to about 5 years ago was like, nope, drugs, no, everything.
Yeah.
Now we're like downtown east side. Well, that's where we're going to put all the drug people, and it's their own choice.
their own fault.
If they're going to be there, they could not do drugs. But yes, we should legalize drugs. So I can smoke weed, right? It's like, it's that kind of thinking.
Yeah.
We're really that way out here in BC, dude.
The problem with this ism is that I have not heard a plan from a libertarian that addresses healthcare, that addresses public education in a way that's satisfactory and helps everybody.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. And
So-
libertarianists are basically like anarchists. It's the same. They run around the same playground, I think.
Yeah, I
In a
think
sense.
the openness of the idea of limiting government. And again, I am for an efficient government that's not bloated.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not going to have that in our current political system.
Never
I don't give a
happen.
fuck where you are in North America. The governments are bloated and the structures are terrible. And there's no way of limiting their power at this point unless you fucking destroy the whole thing and rebuild it.
Which will never happen.
Nope.
We've tried that already. We've tried it all. And, we've even tried this. Here's a word you don't hear every day. Populism. Here's the definition. A political approach that strives to appeal to ordinary people who feel that their concerns are disregarded by established elite groups.
That's how Trump won. This is literally how Trump won.
Yeah.
He made himself the face of struggle. How the fuck is that possible? How does someone that gets a $20 million inheritance become the face of struggle for poor people? Poor, uneducated white people that look at Trump as an example of what their life could be.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's weird how he pulled the total populist vote when he got elected. Like, I think what was brilliant about Trump's campaign, and it wasn't obviously Trump, because Trump's not brilliant by any means, right? But I think what was brilliant is that they separated the people from politicians, right? He put himself in the middle and said, there's politicians over here, but us, we need to drain the swamp. We need to get these guys out. Right? And that's what clicked for him. That's probably what's clicking for him again now, right? Is that people needed something to believe in. They were tired of being told what to do. They needed someone they thought would work with them. And that's what Trump sold.
And I just want to say it again, if I haven't said it loud enough already. You, average citizen, sitting at home, working a day job, trying to make ends meet, you're never going to be Trump. You are never, ever, ever going to be able to amass the wealth that Trump has.
Unless you win the Powerball.
Yeah, the idea that if I work hard enough, I'll get there. No, you fucking won't.
It's a myth.
You are magical. The Jay-Z's of the world, the Master P's of the world,
Once in a
NBA,
lifetime.
NFL, MLB athletes that come from nothing into
Small
something
percentage.
fucking in the single digits.
Yeah.
Under
less.
10% of the population.
Yeah.
That's not you.
Yeah.
If you're living in a trailer park, collecting welfare, which is against socialism,
Serb.
free healthcare, which is against socialism, and you're thinking, that Trump guy really motivates and inspires me. I'm going to do what he did. No, you're not.
No.
Get off your fucking imaginary float that you're sitting on that Trump is going to rescue you on.
Yeah,
It's just not going to happen, man.
If you are listening to this podcast, you're not ever going to be Trump.
No.
You're wasting your time.
Yeah, you're not.
Like, you're listening to us because you're trying to be happy. But if you want to be Trump, you should be doing some shit right now.
This is
Some
the
work.
reality check segment.
Right? Populism. It's horrible. It's going to take an effect in this election, too.
Sure.
I don't know the definition of moderatism, but I'm going to guess that it is moderate belief system going right down the line on every topic is
Yeah.
probably moderatism,
Makes sense. I can see a space for this.
right? Like
in
going right
combination.
down the line. Someone who is a good example of someone that's a moderist, do you think?
If I'm judging the definition correctly, I'd say Jimmy Carter.
Oh, Jimmy Carter. That was a good call, actually.
Minimalist.
Yeah, minimalist, right?
Expects people to live within their means. Mm-hmm. And he tried it.
Yeah.
And Americans fucking hated him for it.
Is Jasmeet a moderist?
Jagmeet is... I think Jagmeet has some capitalist foundation.
Yeah.
I think he's a person that wants to be successful. He was a lawyer. Very well educated. He didn't choose a low-paying job. So obviously he understands what it means to be a success and understands what it takes to be a success. So I wouldn't call him a moderate. No. I think his life is far beyond that.
It seems like the NDP, though, try to put themselves in a moderate position. Like, there's this side, there's that side, and here's NDP, right? It seems like they really try to work that middle a lot.
I think they found that middle. I think that's kind of what they're established as. What do you have as the actual definition for it?
I don't know. Actually, you know what? I have no idea. Alexa, are you on? No, Alexa's not on. Yeah, I don't know what the definition is. I didn't write it down for some reason.
Well, the beauty of Google.
Usually Alexa's on. I was just taking a nap.
Okay, Google. What does moderatism mean?
According to Merriam-Webster, moderation in doctrines or opinions specifically, the opinions or policy of a moderate party or group in politics or religion.
Yeah,
So
I think we were pretty close.
pretty close, right?
So yeah, I mean, I remember when Jimmy Carter was begging the American population to moderate their spending and live within their means, and we don't need SUVs, and we can live simple lives. And then Reagan showed up and said, fuck Jimmy Carter.
Yeah.
We don't have to do that.
We're going to go broke.
Everybody can have an SUV.
Yeah.
Everybody can have a big house. Laughing all the way to the bank.
Yeah.
And
Do it for the Gipper.
started the downfall.
Oh, my God. Fuck moderates. All right. Whew, this is a tough one, man.
Yeah.
Authoritarianism.
Yeah.
I can't believe I said that the first shot.
Beautifully.
The definition of authoritarianism is the enforcement, dun-dun, or advocacy of strict obedience to authority at the expense of personal freedom. I live with that authority. I live with one. Shit.
Okay. The scary thing is the U.S. is headed here because they have the largest military in the world. And
No
they-
regard for anybody on the planet.
Yeah, and they have a militarized police force. And their ability to bully their population in this way is influencing countries around the world. The Philippines with
Yeah.
Duterte, he's an
Yeah.
authoritarian.
Yeah.
Bolsonaro in Brazil, he's an authoritarian.
Most South American countries.
Yeah,
like-
Benjamin Netanyahu
Yeah.
is a fucking authoritarian.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
You know, there are a lot of smaller African nations that have authoritarian governments.
Yeah.
And the only way to combat authoritarianism is freedom.
Like
of
true
speech.
freedom.
Yeah, freedom of speech, freedom of thought, freedom of expression, freedom of artists.
Like no judgment, no nothing.
Yeah, freedom of artists to be able to do what they do. So to reverse course from an authoritarian government, you have to go from like a Bolsonaro to someone who's so far left, almost at a point of being a hippie, to
Bernie.
create balance. Yeah, because you gotta find a middle ground again.
Yeah.
You go that far radical right,
Yeah.
you gotta come back to the middle again.
Yeah.
And the scariest part for me is the United States government has enabled authoritarian governments across the planet.
Yeah, they have.
And the people suffer the consequences. And now America sees, well, wait a minute, it works so well in those other countries. Well, why can't we do it here?
And they just put a bow on it here, though.
Beautifully.
Right? They put some good-looking old guy up there or a young girl or whatever it is, you know what I mean? And they control us with images, right? And that's what, people don't get, man. Like, we're controlled by images more than any other country.
Yep.
Maybe China would be up there, but they don't have
they're
access to the world like we do.
dictatorship. Yep.
Right? We have and this is crazy. We're one of the only countries or continents that have full access to all media and all content in the world.
All the time.
Right, all the time. There's not a lot of countries that have that. Most countries are controlled by their media in their country, and they're not exposed to the rest of the world.
Yeah, true.
So we have that, and they've learned how to manipulate that.
Yeah.
And so that we believe. It's kind of like Bible thumping back in the day. If you were like, oh, the Bible's the Bible, you put your hand on it and you swear, oh, you can't lie, right? You know how many times I've lied with my hand on the Bible? I laugh when they do that.
The idea that someone would all of a sudden just change their thought process. Oh, the Bible's here. Time to act right.
Shit. Dude, when I was in court, this is a side story. I went to court to testify once on myself. It was basically my own case.
Yeah.
And they gave me the Bible. And they're like, put your hand on the Bible. I started laughing right there. And the judge is looking at me. I'm like, sorry. Yes, I swear. Right? And I'm like, oh. And like half the people in there had to know I was about to lie. And I did lie. I lied really bad.
He's lying. He did not lie under oath, just for the record.
I lied under oath. Come find the case. There's been a few. Right? But that's classic authoritarianism. Put your hand on that Bible and swear you're going to, right? You get brainwashed into that, even as a child. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's wrong, man. It's a fucking shitty way to live.
Scary.
Lack of concern for the wishes and concerns of others, man. All right. This motherfucking one is... I have 3 isms that I fucking hate. This one's 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Monarchism. Monarchism. Even the word. Fuck, I hate it. Monarchism is the advocacy of the system of monarchy or monarchical rule.
Vomit.
It makes me sick. The fact that when you look at 80% of the money on the planet has the Queen's face on it.
It's gross.
It's sad, man.
I think she's still the largest landowner on the planet.
Largest landowner on the planet.
Yeah.
Like, it's so sad, dude, that we bow down and lick the shoes of the royalty, of the monarchy, right? And we put it in such high regard.
Gross. The only good thing I've ever seen the Queen do was bow her head to Haile Selassie in Ethiopia.
Wow.
She visited him when he was the king of Ethiopia,
Yeah.
and she bowed her fucking head to Haile Selassie. It's the only good thing I've ever seen her do.
Crazy.
And that's the only time she's bowed her head to any head of state.
Really?
Yeah.
Wonder why she did that. Respect?
I think a bit of it was respect, and a bit of it was, at that time, Selassie was a fucking god, man. His influence was incredibly powerful.
She's met so many powerful people in her life.
Yeah,
right? And just probably doesn't give 2 shits whatsoever about
Careless.
it. Hey?
Reptile, man. She's a fucking reptile.
The people who have traveled miles and spent shitty times in hotels and flown on a plane and driven in a shitty right-hand side car, right? To see this lady, and she just, oh, poo-poo, right? Please have some tea and crumpets, boo-boo, right? Meanwhile, the fucking vampire, her son Charles, sitting just waiting for the bitch to kick it.
Slimy fuck.
So he can get in there and skeet all over the fucking family jewels. It gets disgusting, dude. It's disgusting how they... I get so disgusted, right? How they decide who's going to be king. It's so stupid.
Everywhere in the world where there's a kingdom is a fucking cesspool of shit.
Joke.
Saudi Arabia and their kingdom.
Another bad one.
I think Bhutan also has royalty still. The Emirates still bow down to royalty. It's fucking gross.
It's really gross, man. No, so is this a mental illness? Do you think? Like I'm serious about this. Is this a mental illness, bowing to somebody like that and keeping up a tradition that has storybook legacy to it?
I think so. Like, when you think about it, even if you go to your religion and your religion tells you all men are created equal, it should say all people, but obviously religions hate women.
Yeah.
All people are created equal. That's the goal of religion. So what the fuck does the queen fit?
Yeah.
All of a sudden she's not human?
God saved her.
So all of a sudden the queen is exempt from this, all people being equal, and you got to bow down. The thing that always gets me is, okay, we're fucking fully grown men here. If any man came to you and said, Mike, bow down
Yeah.
and kiss my hand
Yeah.
because I'm royalty,
Yeah.
what the fuck would you say?
I would say, I guess we're going to fight now. And I hope that we could be friends when this is all over. Even worse, some old lady comes up to you.
Oh,
You don't know her, but she comes up to you and she says to you, bow down and kiss my glove, right? What the hell would you say?
eat a dick.
Yes! God, I hope one day I meet the queen.
Is she ever gonna die? Like, fuck.
Dude,
I don't
she's-
understand.
She's using the foreskin of newly born children to stay alive, all right? Drinking the blood of fucking young children,
Oh
Aboriginal
my
children
God, I
is
wouldn't
bullshit.
doubt it. Wouldn't doubt
Dude,
it.
there is a story online, and I've been talking about it forever, about when the Queen came to Vancouver to Port Renfrew and stole all those kids, right? That's a real story. What happened to those kids, nobody knows. But that's a real story, dude. It's accounted by several people, and, poo, tea and crumpets, right?
It's
They
got
don't
a little
talk
bit of
about it.
urban legend status. A little bit of urban legend status.
Yeah. Could be just one child, right?
Could
but
be.
They ballooned it to 15.
But now with this whole Epstein thing and all these pedophile rings popping up, I don't really doubt it anymore, man. I
Prince
don't.
Andrew.
Yeah, fucking one of the worst offenders.
And the Queen's like, no more traveling for
You
you.
just live in the palace.
Stay in the palace.
In the palace.
Yeah.
You fucking pedophile.
We told you to keep that in the highest tower.
We'll bring you the kids. Just keep it in the palace.
Goofs.
Nasty
Listen,
ass.
people, if you get anything from this podcast tonight, maybe you just think we're a bunch of whack jobs, right? Maybe we think we're too opinionated. Whatever it is,
Yeah.
let's come together as a social society and fucking hate the Queen together.
Yes.
Right? No, let's just agree on one thing. She is the biggest douchebag going. That
Oh,
whole family's the
fuck yeah.
biggest douche. It's even worse than Trump. Who, if you had, I don't want to say this because this is not good, but if you had to choose for the life of Donald Trump or the Queen, which one would you choose?
Oh, fuck. That's so hard.
I asked it.
That's so hard. Okay, one has been
One has to go.
destroying populations for generations.
Yeah.
One is just a piece of shit. Fuck.
It's a tough question, eh?
Yeah,
This
man.
is the correct answer. You angle the gun and you use a 45 or a high performance rifle, and you go through one ear and out the other, and then one ear and out the other
or
as well.
You could hire Angelina Jolie. Remember Wanted? She
Yeah.
could make the bullet curve.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll call Angelina Jolie.
Call Tanya
Curve
Harding.
the bullet.
Call Tanya Harding in. Go take out the Queen.
Cut some shins.
Here's one that we don't really talk about, but it's the same thing as monarchy, and we won't touch too much on this one. But this is absolutism. This is absolute monarchy,
Yeah.
right? This is higher than monarchy.
This is Saudi Arabia.
All right. Yeah, this is Saudi Arabia. This is basically we can kill journalists and we'll pretend to put someone in jail
Yeah.
for it. Right?
Dude, they have 24-karat gold toilets.
Yes.
This place is supposed to be the heart of Islam, Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
And Islam is a religion of peace and humility.
Yes, big time.
And these motherfuckers are shitting on gold toilets
Isn't that crazy?
with harems of women.
Isn't that crazy, dude?
I
Like, it's
don't
crazy
understand.
this still exists and believe that,
Yeah.
that they're doing the right thing, that this is just my life.
One of these princes, one of them, has a gold Lamborghini.
Hmm.
And it's so heavy that they had to put in 2 V12s for this fucking thing to move.
That's sick. Stupid.
You hear that?
That's stupid.
This is a country that we're doing weapons deals with.
Yeah.
By the way, just so you know, the Canadian government
Mm-hmm.
selling weapons to this authoritarian, absolute monarchy.
And we trade doctors with them, or we trade we send doctors there, right? And then we trade with them. So it's weird how the relationship we have with Saudi Arabia, eh?
Yeah.
Like we give them so much.
We're a hoe.
Hey,
Saudi's hoe.
we give them so much, dude.
Yeah.
We have enough gas and oil in our country to live another 100 years
Yeah.
with gas and oil, which we won't do. But because we are we're bootlickers of monarchies, we buy our gas off of them. Like we get our oil from that. It's so stupid.
Yeah, and then you're sitting here listening, thinking, well, these countries are horrible countries. They're pariahs, all this other shit. We'll get into this in another episode, I'm sure, but these countries were built by North America.
Yeah.
And
By
the
America,
UK
yeah.
and France and Germany. They were built by allied nations.
Yeah.
So it's not like these countries just came into fruition one day and became assholes. They were given the ability to be assholes by Canada, US, the UK, Germany, France, Belgium, etc., etc.
Yeah.
All these allied, sophisticated nations that we claim have a moral high ground built these authoritarian states.
Brutal.
But again, deep dive into another.
It's a deep dive,
On
right?
another
We
day.
don't need to get in this. We'll get through the rest of these isms here. You ever heard of this one?
Yeah, man.
Yeah?
Saddam Hussein.
Despotism.
Yeah.
And just for you kids out there, no, this isn't the liking of the song Despacito by Justin Bieber. Because if that's true, I was in some deep despotism a couple years ago DJing. Every other person fucking came up and requested that stupid song.
Stupid fucking song.
Despotism. Despotism is a form of government in which a single entity rules with absolute power.
Saddam Hussein.
Saddam Hussein, the guy on the island, Bahrain, what's his name?
Oh, Bahrain, the king of Bahrain.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's another one.
He's a hypocrite, big time
for
hypocrite.
sure.
Big time despotist.
Yeah. Vladimir Putin, another one.
Vladimir Putin,
Yeah.
right? Vladimir Putin, big time.
Yeah.
Right? These are people that you cannot take out of power any way.
No.
There's nothing that can take. When we say absolute power, even the United States, the war machine, can't roll in and take these people out.
They tried to do it with Saddam three times.
Right.
But again, footnote, Saddam Hussein was placed into power
Yes.
by George Bush
Senior,
Sr.
yeah.
when Senior was working in the CIA.
Yeah.
And again, how frivolous this came to be. They were looking for leadership in Iraq. They lined up soldiers and literally said, who wants the keys to the kingdom? And Saddam was the one that they chose.
So
That's how
weird.
he fucking came to power.
Wow.
And then terrorized the country for the next 30 years.
No wonder he's a mental midget. Like, you know what I mean? He was picked by the states to lead. Like,
Yep. Going
right?
now.
It's a scary one. All right, here's a couple more. Imperialism,
China.
yes, is a policy or ideology of extending the rule over people and other countries for extending political and economic access, power, and control through employing hard power, especially military force.
Yeah.
But there's also a bit of soft power as well.
For sure.
Which is economic force, obviously, right? So, it's weird. China is 100% the definition of this.
Yeah. This was Japan
Japan, big time.
once upon a time.
Before
Before the World Wars. Yeah,
right?
yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure, man. The power and control factor of imperialism is the big one because there is a branding kind of there's a certain branding of the government and of your leaders that has to happen for imperialism. People need to kind of buy into it in a sense.
Yeah.
It's more of a fear-based ism.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? So people need to buy in, but they buy in by saying, it's kind of like the good cop, bad cop, right?
Yeah, they create
In a
those for sure.
sense.
Yeah.
So the leader will be like, hey, you like to live in that house? Yes. Hey, you like to go for wonton soup? Yes. Awesome. You should do that. But if you don't pay your taxes, we're going to fucking kill you. All right? So make sure you pay your tax before you go for wonton soup. But please, here, let me pay for your wonton soup. Right?
Yeah.
But if you don't pay me back, I'm going to fuck you up. You know that, right? It's
Yeah.
like the Machiavelli of of isms. you
Yeah,
know?
North Korea.
Love and feared.
This is what Vladimir Putin wants, but can't
Yeah.
get because he doesn't have the ability in Russia to do it. They don't
Yeah.
have enough power anymore. China, 100% is this country.
Yeah.
The worst part about China being the biggest human rights abuser on the planet is that we use China as our fucking depository of garbage shit that we buy all the fucking time.
So much trash.
Every time you walk into Walmart,
Yeah.
putting money in their pocket.
It's horrible.
So you can make decisions that affect the outcomes of these things, of these isms. And it's up to you and your dollars and where they go, who you support, what you create, and what you finance. And your vote helps too, man.
Yeah.
Your vote helps too.
And I think it's like, if we can get away from, like, I know China, right? But if we can get away from China somehow, I think it'll make even China better
It
in
will.
a weird way, right?
It'll have to.
They'll become more like socialist country, because they could be like the greatest country on earth,
Yeah.
right? If they just kind of were left alone and just let them do their thing, and North America, we do our thing, and
Well, and
you
then
know.
it goes back to localizing economies, right? The biggest thing is China is the manufacturing hub of the planet.
Yeah.
And that creates huge amounts of capital
Oh, man.
investment from the US and Canada
Yeah.
and South America and all these other countries that need shit made for cheap.
Yeah.
And China will gladly exploit their people. And everyone else in the world will gladly let China exploit their people. We don't have the moral compass to say stop. We don't have the moral compass to say I don't need an iPhone 13 and a half.
Yeah.
We don't have the moral compass to say I don't need that new thing every year. It's not in us. We've been conditioned. So we gladly allow it
Yeah.
on another population's behalf. And a part of it is the repression of speech that comes out of China. There's no activists.
Yeah.
Who are the activists in China that you've heard of and know about?
Never. No, only the Hong Kong situation
Yeah.
brought out some, but that was it.
And then they vanish.
And then they vanished mysteriously.
So, and we're okay with it as long as we
Yeah.
keep getting our new shit.
it's horrible.
Yeah, man.
Just remember, next time you buy that pair of knockoff Nikes, there's some poor 4-year-old Chinese kid that's being forced to work without lunch.
Facts.
It's true. It's imperialism. A couple more, I think. Colonialism. Yeah, there's a couple more. We'll cut it off after this. I
This
think.
is probably the longest lasting ism that exists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The policy or practice of acquiring full or partial political control over another country, occupying it with settlers, and exploiting it economically. Oh, who does that, I wonder? Nobody acts that way, Puerto Rico. Right?
Wow.
Nobody acts that way, Cuba, I guess. I don't know. Where
United
else?
States?
Canary Islands?
Yeah. This
Hawaii?
is probably the most effective way to annihilate cultural identity of populations. Because it affected my ancestors directly.
Great Britain?
Yeah, the British trading company walked into India one day and said, "We want everything. Fuck yourself. We're taking it."
Yeah.
Which resulted in the forced migration of millions of Indians everywhere in the world
Yeah.
that you can possibly imagine.
Yeah.
Indians are everywhere.
It's true, eh?
Not by choice. Jamaica, Trinidad,
Yeah.
Guyana, Fiji,
Yeah.
all of these small
They started
islands.
new generations of people.
And they lose their identity.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many people from Jamaica and Guyana and all these places that I met that are Indian
Yeah.
that refuse to be called Indian.
Yeah, it's
No,
weird,
I'm
eh?
Guyanese. I'm Jamaican. I'm
Yes.
this. Well, ancestrally,
Yeah.
you're Indian.
You're Indian.
But they don't. It's not a part of who they are.
Yeah, I met a Trinidadian, a guy from Trinidad and Tobago, and he's like, I'm like, dude, you're Indian. He's like, no.
Nope.
That was my first encounter with a guy I thought had a identity issue.
Yeah.
Because no, dude, you're Indian. Like, you come to Canada, you're Indian.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
we're not looking at your hometown. Like,
We don't call you Trini.
yeah, you're not a Trini, right?
Unless you
Coolie.
are another island person and
Yeah.
understand the identifiable cultural differences.
Yeah, yeah.
But ancestrally, even Sri Lanka,
Yeah.
Malaysia, all these places full of Indians because of forced migration back to that biatch
Right
monarch.
back. It always goes back to her, man.
fucking reptile queen.
Hey?
I call her a reptile because Alex Jones said that she's a shape-shifting reptile. And I refuse to quote Alex Jones, but sometimes that motherfucker's right.
He, on that last Joe Rogan, he was kind of on right and
Yeah.
wrong. Like he was, sometimes he can come across as a pretty sensible guy, right? I think
Yeah.
he does have some sense. I think he just sensationalizes stuff to.
I don't think he can help
get
it.
press,
He's like a
right?
WWE character.
He's like a WWE.
I just like
character.
how he was being fact checked live, so he couldn't get too carried away into his craziness.
So there's colonialism, and then there's neo-colonialism, which is the practice of using economics, which is using economics, globalization, and cultural imperialism, and conditional aid to influence a country instead of the previous colonial methods of direct military control, imperialism, or indirect political control, hegemony. Right, so this is a tough one because I know nothing about this. Right, I won't even front and say like, "Oh yeah, I'm Mr. Fucking Ism." No, I'm not. This is a different one to me. So it's the practice of using economics basically to fuck people over and influence a country.
And the only way you can do that is with the military.
Yeah, and that's kind of the Puerto Rico situation for America. The hurricane rips through Puerto Rico last year. It was this year. It was this year, wasn't it?
Last year,
right? And year and a half, 2 years. And still Puerto Rico has no lights.
and Trump was tossing paper towel rolls.
Right? Remember that?
Oh, fuck. What a piece of shit.
Right? Controlling those people by money. And when those people didn't conform to Trump or they laughed at him on the news,
Yeah.
he took it all away.
Oh, yeah. He annihilated
They
them.
still don't have lights in some
Yeah.
parts there.
Yeah.
Like power.
Yeah, they... Hearing some of the shit that he said was when he said something like, I talked to the president of Puerto Rico today. I was like, what? You're the fucking president of Puerto Rico, you dumb fuck. But that's how detached he is. Because it's a place full of brown people. And brown-skinned people. In his mind, that's not America. His mind can't fathom that a piece of America is just full of brown-skinned people.
It's horrible.
It's fucking disastrous.
Is North Korea neo-colonialism?
No, North Korea is an authoritarian government. For
It's
sure.
authoritarian,
Yeah,
right?
because it's been passed down from father to son, father to son,
Yeah.
father to son.
Using globalization for control. That's I can't really think of anybody that's really like that. Like America, I guess, kind of giving money to like Ukraine, Syria, all these places.
I mean, I
right?
guess the UK used to be, when they had enough finances, they used to be that power.
Yeah.
They could dominate with corporations.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's so many independently wealthy people now. Citizens have just as much wealth to influence change as governments do. Jeff Bezos is worth more than so many countries.
Oh yeah.
So the idea of a government enforcing its will economically it's not really something that can be done anymore.
Yeah,
Most
it's kinda-
governments are bankrupt.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like this is really something that truly exists, right?
Yeah, not anymore. Not so much.
Kind of a cool word, but
Neo-colonialism.
now we're getting into some deep shit here. Just so you know, if you were here at 1 hour and 30 minutes of this podcast and you're deep in the isms, we've gone down the ism rabbit hole. Starting now. All right. Now it's going to start going down a little bit of a rabbit hole of isms. So if you're going to go to bed really soon, you should turn this off and listen to the next part in the morning just in case you get scared. Just in case. Expansionism. In expansionism, governments and states expand their territory, power, and wealth or influence through economic growth, soft power, or the military aggression of empire building and colonialism.
I mean, the blueprint is the Roman Empire, right? That's the blueprint. And many societies have grown and failed this way. Because you
Spread yourself too
you
thin.
can't maintain it, man. You
Yeah.
cannot you can't maintain it in a way where all populations under your control are going to stay subservient. Because you can't maintain their quality of life. You can't. There's going to be fall off somewhere.
Yeah.
And you're going to value the colonies that are closest to you. Romantically or emotionally, whatever the fuck it is. You're going to involuntarily favor certain areas, which means other areas are going to fall apart. And there's no repair.
Yeah.
Because you replace their economic system with yours, and then when your economic system fails, you don't give them anything to replace it with.
Yeah.
So they're fucked. And America wants to be this.
Yeah.
They want to have an expansionist society
Yeah.
that crosses the world, which is why they have over 1,000 military bases
Yeah.
worldwide
Yeah.
in areas where there's no war.
Yeah. They just post up.
Why do you need a military base in a place where you're not at war?
Yeah, I think America just feels like they're the sheriff of the world, right? So they got to be posted up in places, making sure nobody's getting something they're not potentially getting. I think there's two good examples of expansionism. One that's fucking absurd and one that might be true. And the absurd one is McDonald's. You know, you look at McDonald's, they have a total expansionism model to them. You know what I mean? Their mission, Starbucks, their mission is to be in every country of the world and dominate that market.
Yeah, McDonald's has kind of nailed it.
Right? Like, you think about it. You go to some weird countries, there's their version of McDonald's in that country.
Yeah, I mean, fuck. Rosie went to India a couple of years ago, and the McDonald's there has, like, aloo tikka burgers and, like, vindaloo flavor. Like, what the fuck? When she told me this, I couldn't believe it. You're fucking right. They have their own
Empire building
version to accommodate everywhere.
And did you know that there's a rule in McDonald's that every single McDonald's that is on the planet owns the real estate that it's on?
Damn.
So it's a requirement of a franchise that you can't just own the McDonald's. You need to own the property that the McDonald's is on. So that means that a
Wow.
McDonald's can never be taken away. And the other thing is that the corporation, when you sign on as a franchise, you sign your life away, your rights away to your McDonald's franchise. Just because you're running it and you're banking off it, which you're probably not even banking off it, but because you're making money off it, you don't own it.
Wow.
You don't own it. McDonald's owns it.
So it's not a true franchise in the sense of the
No,
word.
it's a franchise as long as you're playing the game.
It's like a lease agreement.
Yeah, you're there. But you need to own the business, because if they take it from you, they take your property as well.
Land.
Yeah, buddy.
That's fucking brilliant.
So in every country there's McDonald's, they own that fucking land. Wow. Think about that, dude. That's posting up and staying.
Yeah,
You know what
that's
I mean?
kind of a military objective.
It's a military procedure.
Yeah, the strategy they
You
use. Wow.
Think about Starbucks. There's a Starbucks in the great city in China. In the oldest city on the planet. There's a fucking Starbucks, dude.
That's colossal. I never knew that. Holy shit. But that's the power of
It's expansionism.
expansionism, man.
Right. And the other one I would have to say is absurd, but it's China.
Yeah.
Because China has been moving motherfucking students into every country on the world.
Yeah, yeah.
Go to school. Right? Go to school. They've infiltrated in Vancouver here, they've infiltrated our banking system. They've infiltrated our real estate system. They've infiltrated our school system. And when I say infiltrated, it's not a negative thing. But what I mean is that they're so savvy in their training that they can come to another country and take over everything and own it and run it. And people just go, oh, cool. You know, we're not racist or anything, so we just let shit happen, right?
Yeah.
But they're in their minds, dude. They know over there. They're like, dude, we can come over here and do some shit. and
Use
have
all the
fun
discipline,
Yeah.
the skill set,
that we've learned.
and the comparatively loose regulations of the economies here and exploit the fuck out of them.
Yeah, dude. It's crazy, right? When you come from a country where you're so oppressed and you see such freedom and ability and opportunity, like, we don't know that feeling because we grew up here.
Yeah,
We work a job, we do gigs, we fucking do podcasts in our spare time, right? There's motherfuckers out there working 24/7. They sleep 3 hours, get up,
True,
boom,
man.
they just work steady.
Yeah.
And they've been doing that since they were kids because they saw their parents do it.
Make us fucking feel lazy.
Dude, it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But that's China, big time expansionist. A-K. Let's go. What's that song? I fucking don't know the song. That looks stupid. Anarchy. What's that anarchist song?
Hey, man.
Sex Pistols or something?
It might be, actually.
I can't remember.
This is something that happens overseas every day.
All the time.
Every day. We're so sheltered and so shielded that we think riots and breaking glass and stealing shit is anarchy.
Yeah.
No.
No, that's just bad behavior.
No. This is just people acting out.
Yeah.
Real anarchy is storming government buildings with fucking armed militias
Yeah.
and replacing the government overnight. That's fucking anarchy.
Burning down police stations in Minnesota.
That's a definition of anarchy.
Anarchism is a political philosophy and movement that is skeptical of authority and rejects all involuntary, coercive forms of hierarchy Anarchism also calls for the abolition of the state, which it holds to be undesirable, unnecessary, and harmful.
The prototype anarchist is Osama bin Laden. He is the prototype of what anarchy is. And quickly, without diving too deep into him, because fuck, it would take forever. After the Russian invasion in Afghanistan, when bin Laden was promised billions of dollars by the US, and then they failed to deliver, he made it his life's mission to make sure that this never happened again. There's a story about him burrowing a tunnel underneath the royal family's palace in Saudi Arabia with a militia, threatening to bomb the entire kingdom of Saudi Arabia if they didn't overturn their government that night.
Oh, wow.
That night, him with his militia.
Wow.
The biggest difference is to people that are listening to this, when you talk about military offensives and generals and all this other stuff, Donald Trump is never going to step on the front lines of an armed combat scenario. Neither would George Bush, Senior or Junior. Neither would Obama.
No.
Neither would any sitting American president. You would never see them on the battlefield carrying arms.
Never.
The biggest difference, and the reason why people were ready to die for Osama bin Laden, is because he was the front man in armed combat.
Yeah.
With the Kalashnikov in his hand.
Yeah.
Ready to die for the people behind him
Yeah.
by standing in front of them.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing.
Not sitting in a fucking building pushing papers and creating laws that force people to go to war. He was the inspiration behind his militia, which is why you couldn't fuck with him for so long. And he was literally ready to blow up the kingdom of Saudi Arabia over his beliefs.
Fuck, he's a badass.
He is a badass. And again, there's way more to his story that we'll get into one other day because it's going to be a whole fucking
And he's
episode.
living in Boca Raton, Florida.
I wouldn't doubt it. But yeah, the idea of an anarchist, the intent generally is pure of an anarchist. Romantically speaking, the revolutionaries, the Che Guevaras, the people that you look at as people that changed the world were anarchists.
Yeah.
They didn't like the current rule of law. Said, "Fuck it, I'm going to change it." So there's a kind of romance involved with making them almost invincible, because they die, but their ideas don't. You know that whole idea. Tupac is kind of an anarchist. So there's some romanticism involved with this. Put it into practice, we're not ready for shit like that. Our societies are too organized and too orderly. We're not ready for an overnight upheaval of our world.
No.
What would happen, man?
What would happen?
Yeah, if an armed group of 100 people,
Just stormed our government.
well organized,
Yeah.
stormed government buildings.
And did one of those things like interrupted the TV.
Right? It just
And
took over.
Took a message and said, we're tired of this shit. We're taking
We're
over.
fixing it now.
You got a military? Okay. Step up. We got a fucking
And
million
really, all you
men.
need are people that are willing to die.
A million men. If a million men could march on Washington back in the day with Louis Farrakhan, right?
Martin Luther King.
Yeah. The Million Man March. Remember that?
But they were all unarmed.
Yeah, but imagine if they were armed.
Martin Luther King's message was one of peace and love.
I know.
He had some anarchists in him too. Don't get me wrong. He had
Yeah.
some anarchists
He
and
was
some anger in
very,
him.
oh yeah.
But overwhelmingly, his mission was one of peace and love because he had that Bible in his pocket, man.
You know what? They would snipe that brother who stood up and tried to organize a million men with guns.
Dude, I'm surprised Louis Farrakhan's still alive after all this time.
Yeah.
Because he says some shit, man.
Yeah,
You normally can't get away with that shit.
But it becomes history, and then
Yeah.
it becomes nothing. And people in this
Yeah.
generation don't understand that.
The
Just
power.
like we didn't really understand what our fathers and grandfathers were going through,
Yeah.
or
No,
went
not
through
at
it,
all.
right?
Not
Like
at
we
all.
never understood it. It's really, but anarchism is very important to the function of society, man. There has to be people that go against the grain
Yep.
and have a say that contradicts the fucking powers that be, man.
It's the tool of resistance.
Yeah,
And the power of the people
yeah,
is in anarchy.
yeah.
You're hearing these fucking isms. If you don't know how to use them correctly, stop using them,
Just
man.
don't use them.
Social media, wherever you are, calling people out with these stupid isms. You don't know what they mean.
Yeah.
Don't use them. You
Yeah,
sound like
don't.
an idiot.
Yeah, no, it's not good, because there are, some of these things are really important to our balance of our life. You know what I mean? This is how we function, man. We need to have these people that go against government and keep government on their toes,
Yeah, and see, think like a healthy functioning society requires multiple isms.
Mm-hmm.
You need capitalism, socialism, anarchism. You need them all to be contributing to each other to make sure that each one stays honest. You can chug it. To make sure each one stays honest. Without the opposing forces, there's no checks and balances. One of them by itself is always going to be unhealthy for the population. Man.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's like kind of like if you have a whole room full of people, you want everybody to kind of have their own personality. If everyone had the same personality, this fucking party would be bunk. You know what I mean? You're not getting laid. You might as well. You're screwing yourself, basically. Imagine that, right? Imagine just look at yourself right now, all right, whoever you are, and imagine having sex with yourself. Just imagine now.
Not masturbating.
Not masturbating, but actually having a sexual encounter with yourself. Are you happy? Are you walking away satisfied?
Yeah, man.
Most people aren't. Most people are like, you're right, man. I got to try harder. I got to fucking try harder. Communitarianism. Got a couple left here. I think so. Have you heard of this one?
I can kind of see what it may mean.
What do you think it means?
I would say society powered by communal living, multiple communities all contributing. Something similar to a socialist community.
Yeah, you're pretty close. That's good. That's
Okay.
That's a good ism guess. Communitarianism is a long word. I'd like to see that one in spelling bee.
That's a big one.
Is a philosophy that emphasizes the connection between the individual and the community.
Facts.
Its overriding philosophy is based upon the belief that a person's social identity and personality are largely molded by community relationships, with a smaller degree of development being placed on individualism. So we encourage community, but we also encourage you to be yourself within a community.
Yeah.
Right?
I guess in a weird way, being Amish takes this to a whole new level, right? That kind of communal living.
That's a good call.
I like, but there is no individuals in the Amish community. I like the idea of communities influencing the individual because they do, man.
Yeah.
We're all a product of our environment.
This is a crazy one.
Yeah. But I think our individuality is what makes us special. But it's really our environment that molds us, man. I can point to multiple incidences growing up that molded me into the person that I am.
Yeah.
And that's because of the community I was in.
Yeah.
If I was in a different community, like I see the way my kids are in their community and what influences them, and we're totally different.
Yeah.
My upbringing in my community amongst a middle class upbringing is polar opposite from theirs.
Yeah.
Even though we're both from middle class communities, both in the Lower Mainland.
Well, it's because of information gathering.
Big
it's
part of it.
because you didn't have as much ability to seek out information like they do, dude.
Yeah.
They've learned more in their short life than we've learned already in ours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the difference.
And I see that the kind of the thickness of their thinking is not like the idea of a code, a street code, G code, whatever you want to call it, doesn't resonate with them. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But I grew up around people that were all in gangs.
Yeah. That's all that mattered.
Drug dealers, and there's a certain honor to having a code.
Yeah.
A code of ethics in life. You can
Yeah.
call it whatever the fuck you want, but having a code of ethics comes from like being around people that live by it. And in their world, that's not a value. They ain't got no gangsters in their neighborhoods. They don't have anybody that's an outlier or someone that's kind of pushing the boundary in life. Everyone's kind of cookie cutter, phone in hand,
Yeah.
vape in the other hand. Population. They're all kind of one people, right?
Yeah. That's the new look.
So that idea is of an individual being molded by their society is fucking 100% truth, man. I think we all want to be individuals and say, I'm unique, I'm unique, I'm unique. But if you go back to your neighborhood, there's probably a lot of other motherfuckers that think that they're unique just like you.
Yeah.
And if someone thinks that they're unique just like you, then you're not unique.
So is this kind of like cult? Is this another word for cult?
I think it could be. But again, cults don't want individuals. They want herd mentality, right?
Yes, it says the smaller degree of development being placed on individualism.
Yeah.
So smaller degree.
Yeah, I guess you're headed to cultish behavior.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, a couple more, I think. Fuck.
Oh, fuck, I hate this one.
Corporatism. Man, if you're sticking around right now and you're fucking feeling these isms, throw some isms in the
Or
in
if you
the,
think we're wrong
message
about
below.
our clarification of these isms, feel free. Let us know in the comments.
Yeah. This will be our longest podcast ever.
And it's an important one because I think what we're going to go back to after this is going to be
Yeah, that'd be good.
turning of the tide.
All right. So environmentalism. Corporatism. Sorry.
I don't like it. I think once we gave corporations the ability to be treated as individual citizens, we fucked ourselves.
Yeah, corporatism is a political ideology which advocates the organization of society by corporate groups,
It's gross.
monopolies,
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it.
such as agriculture, labor, military, scientific, or guild associations on the basis of their common interests.
It's
Right?
pretty close to where we are in
Yeah.
North America. We're pretty much corporatist societies.
Yeah.
The fact that a corporation can, as a part of their business practice, destroy an environment, and let's say a pipeline spills, which happens all the fucking time, and the Canadian government tells that company, you are not only responsible for paying for the cleanup, but you can no longer do business
Yeah.
because of your shitty record. That corporation can then go to the Canadian government and say, you can't limit my ability to have rights to this profit stream.
Yeah.
I'm now going to sue you. And the corporations can sue the government
That's
for
crazy.
taking away destructive business practice. That's law.
So for impeding in my business.
yeah.
Basically, I'm gonna
I
sue
can
you.
I can fuck up I'll do my best to not fuck up the environment.
Yeah.
But if I do, oh well.
Crazy.
That's what this kind of shit leads to, man. It leads to Shell destroying Nigeria and the Niger Delta and not having to pay $1 to repair.
When did that happen?
Oh, this has been ongoing for decades.
Really?
Yeah,
Huh?
they've been funding militias in Nigeria to murder each other to have access to the oil fields.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh,
Holy
it's
shit.
atrocious. And they've been destroying the Niger
That's
Delta
crazy,
and polluting
man.
the waterways, and there's no repercussions.
Is there like a passage through there for the tankers? Or
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. Well, there was not one, but there is
There
one.
is now.
Yeah. No, they've
Holy
been child soldiers and all these things all
Yeah.
developed from this pathway, right?
It's a really crazy part of the world.
Yeah.
Poor, really sad for a young boy growing up in that part of the world, eh? Like, you're instantly probably recruited into this shit. You don't even know it.
Dude, some of these countries are so war-torn that there are entire generations of kids
Yeah.
that don't have parents. Entire generations of kids
Wow. Who've never had a parent.
that are parenting each other, kids parenting kids, because
Yeah.
all of their parents were murdered by war, famine, destruction of their environment all
Yeah.
at once, right?
Fuck. Can you
Yeah.
imagine that?
So this is what corporatism leads to,
Yeah.
and we're the IV. Citizens are the IV for corporatism. They plug themselves into our spirits and our effort and our work and our labor, and create themselves into this untouchable entity that sucks the blood of humanity dry, man.
Yeah, man. It's crazy. Coca-Cola.
Fucking dark.
Coca-Cola.
We got dark.
Who's the biggest corporate scum on the planet, do you
Fuck,
think?
there's so many, but I'd have to give it the petroleum companies. The petroleum companies are the worst.
Just because they have no shame with what they do,
And
right?
they've made themselves a necessity at the expense of all other technologies. We could be nuclear right now
Yeah.
if money was being diverted from giving them billion-dollar tax breaks into researching how to make nuclear safer than it is now.
Fuck. It's
Or
like
harnessing solar or wind or all the other technologies that we could possibly have out there.
gas would find a way to say, well, you need to fucking have an engine.
Right? And it's because we gave them tax breaks.
Yeah.
For decades, hundreds of billions of dollars
Yeah.
of tax breaks for making billions of dollars. So fuck corporatism.
It's a lonely thing. Yeah, a scene that always kind of makes me feel lonely is if I think of a tanker out in the middle of the ocean in like ice and just transporting a big tank full of gas.
This is Deepwater Horizon, right? That's what happened.
Yeah, like it's a scary look, man.
Ugh.
I'd say, yeah, you know what? That's pretty big. I think Coca-Cola raping the world for water
Yeah.
is pretty bad
Nestle.
too.
Nestle's the biggest criminal out of the water.
Man.
Water thieves.
That's so sad what they do to the world.
Dude,
you
the CEO of Nestle said water is not a human right. Every human should have to pay for water.
Wow.
The CEO of Nestle.
Wow, it's so crazy.
Fucking supervillain.
Yeah, it's really bad. We're really lucky to have good water. We're in a good place on Earth, eh? All right,
Very
environmentalism.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the next one. All right, so just so you understand, it's 154 on this podcast, which could be our longest podcast.
Looks like it.
Yeah, which is cool.
Yeah.
Because this is really an education. This will go down in the YouTube history.
This is a deep dive.
Right? And
Yeah.
YouTube history, this will go down. And anytime a student is doing a paper, right? Or maybe you're in college and you're going to do some sort of political project, you will have this as reference.
Yes.
So never again will you have to even go to social studies. You'll never have to worry about the legislature.
Make sure you put us in the bibliography, okay?
Right.
I want to see it in the bibliography. Hi, Phrase Podcast ACDJ and Alite quoted such and such.
Yeah. Right.
Make it happen.
Yes. And all the hashtags will be all the isms. Like someone's like, oh, I just wonder about corporatism. Oh, look at this video that came up. Amazing.
Look at High Phrase. Yes.